Welcome to our straw bale house here just outside of Frederick, Maryland, in the foothills of the watershed, Gamble State Park. We are 5 years into building, pretty much done. Still a lot of finished details, not quite, but we are happily living in a circular straw bale house. By straw bale, I mean our walls are made of straw bale, and then earthen plastered on the inside and lime plastered on the outside.
As you can see, we're shooting this over Christmas time with snow outside. Beautiful inside the straw bale house. We're now entering the kitchen area with these beautiful, beautiful blue countertops and the white cabinets. This is a 1,300 square feet house, just over 1,300 square feet, which is plenty for a family of 4. Beautiful, large looking eastern facing windows. This is the kids' bedroom here. And then we're going to move on into the bathroom here. And the bathroom is still under construction. We'll get a little better view of this a little bit later on when Michael's given us a tour, and he'll explain the potty system there. And the laundry off in the bathroom. Beautiful open area bathroom here for the family. Notice the very deep window wells there. Actually acts as a place that you can sit, like a bench. And now we're in the master bedroom.
Upstairs, up above the kitchen, is a loft, and he has really neat steps over here to conserve space. So Michael and I are going to walk upstairs, and you can watch how he goes up here.
Definitely a sobriety test.
Yeah, wouldn't want to do this after a drink or two.
It happens.
But because the steps are cut in the center here, it conserves a lot of space coming up.
Shortens the run.
And shortens the run. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. And from up here, I'm just going to do a real quick loop around. You can see we are at the top of a circle. It is completely round, like Michael said.
Yeah, loft's our living room now, and library, starting to get our books organized up here. But it's also really nice and warm up here.
Oh yeah.
The heat does rise.
Being the high point of the house, yep.
Yeah, so it feels good up here, but how the loft will end up being a living space may keep translating over time.
Yeah.
You know, we've just started living in here about the last 3 months. So you're getting used to a whole new space, but it's an easy space to get used to. Really appreciate how it feels to live in this space. It flows easily. It's not too big. It's round, so when you're walking around, you're just naturally cycling through the space. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of this extra type of energy, going up all these stairs, going on these rooms, and a lot of conventional houses, really, you spend a lot of extra energy just moving around. And this place just kind of flows. It's kind of like permaculture, you design flow. And so far, this has it.
I see a wonderful flow here. It's roomy, it's natural, but it's also modern, because as I look over your head there, I see the sprinkler heads. So the fire department obviously had their say in the building. So everything here is built to code.
Everything's permitted, everything's coded. Our house, our decking, which is all wood from our land, is a good 3 inches thick.
So this decking right up here is 3 inches thick.
And that's poplar.
And it's tongue and groove.
It's tongue and groove. We tongue and grooved it. The tulip poplar is becoming even more one of the most common trees in our region, as it fills in deforested areas very quickly. It's a beautiful wood, and it's got all this variation of character in it.
It is absolutely gorgeous, no doubt about that.
I'm a big fan of it.
Look up there.
Some cleaning to do here.
Just a gorgeous place, Michael.
walk-in sort of Roman style tub, where eventually it's going to be mosaic tiled all the way up. And it's just an open-aired shower, kind of give you that regenerative sort of spa feeling in a tub and a shower. And then this wall behind it is actually a lime plaster. It's not a finished plaster yet, but it's lime instead of being earthen plaster, so that any water that gets splashed on it will be able to run off. So lime is much more resilient and sheds water.
Yeah, that makes sense in a tub area here. And
Yeah,
actually,
yeah.
from this view, we can see how thick the walls are right here.
It may not be the prettiest shot. Maybe this
Yeah.
side. Maybe this side. This side shows you how.
Try this shot here. This kind of shows you how thick the wall is. God, that's probably at least 15 inches before we even hit this wood here, and then it's level with the outside. So yeah, you're definitely 22, 23 inches on the outside there.
Yeah.
Okay, Michael, and back here you have a unique bathroom setup, right?
Yeah. This is our throne. It has a small compost unit in it. Basically, is a rotating barrel in there that gets used with sawdust, and you can rotate and keep the balance going with the sawdust and your nutrient input, and then easily pulls out down below. Underneath that stool is a drawer that allows you to pull out finished compost to go put around your bamboo, your fruit trees, your perennial crops, and no water is used. And it's amazing to be able to use your own nutrient resource in growing food in your landscape. It feels right. It feels like you're bringing things around full circle. Simple as it is, it's just and it's amazing how much we produce. You don't realize until you start managing it yourself and carrying it and using it, and you don't realize that we are flushing away so much every day.
So one question I did have for you, Michael, is there's several different doors on top. One looks like a regular toilet seat.
Which one has the magic?
Is there? Do you pee in one or?
So on the far right here, I'll sneak in here. This is for our organic matter, and it's a blend that I've been making up myself. Basically sawdust and straw.
Okay.
And
so that's what you put on
Yep.
top of
so you come
the
here,
humidor.
you leave your nutrient, and this is just for anything non-organic trash, basically.
Okay, gotcha.
And then there's a drum in here, so this pulls out, and we built this beautiful wood around the unit. Inside this unit is a plastic, manufactured Sunmar. Usually this is the size that's used in a cabin, somewhere where people aren't usually interacting with that much. But for us, we want to interact with it. We want to manage our compost, and we want to use it. We want to interact with this. So having a smaller unit in our home is okay. Most people don't seem to have that comfort level with working with their own nutrient and growing their own food. It's crazy how far we've come from that so quickly, when this is an essential element of living. Anyway.
Too many years ago when all households were like this, right?
I know. We'd use all of our resources, and this is a huge one. Anyway, so there's a barrel in there, and it can be turned every day or two, or a couple of days. I need to oil that one. And that just helps rotate and mix up your nutrients, your nitrogen, your urine, with that organic matter, and gets that process going of breaking down and creating compost. So it's a very small, tight unit that works. And having a compost toilet means that we can have a gray water system, which means that all the water from our sinks and our bathtub all could be gravity fed out into a swale, out into a garden bed that absorbs those nutrients as well.
Talk about conservation, huh?
Yeah, it's good. It's simple and good.
Yeah.
So this is definitely another way to reduce your overall inputs over time. as far as like having to heat your house, having to cool your house, you know, having to maintain a septic and all of those inputs and outputs, you eliminate all that. So once you've designed this, once you've put it in place, it really functions very well for itself, which is kind of the essence of permaculture design. You know, put the elements together, work with the elements that are there, and then let things begin to unfold and support themselves. And you just find your role within that mix.
Yep. All of the woodwork in here is local wood, and they built
It's from our land.
this entire system from the land right here. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is cherry top. All this is cherry. This is cherry. All our trim is cherry wood. Coming into our bedroom here, our bed is also made from our own wood.
Awesome.
And it's a cherry bed that a friend of ours made for us.
Yep.
The windowsills are ash. We had one ash tree on our land, and we're celebrating it there. Again, all the wood pretty much has been storm fallen wood, so we didn't really even have to go out and cut living wood to build this house. There's just an abundance of resources around here, and it's just recognizing them and working with
And I
them.
see all these beams up here. Are all the beams from the property as well?
All the wood in the house from the property.
And there was that one over the kitchen that was just, that's
Cherry,
gorgeous.
that's cherry too.
Let's go out and I'm going to show them a picture of that because that is just gorgeous.
And that's a storm fallen tree as well. And that's holding up the loft.
Great big, huge, straight piece of lumber that was
And these
taken down
are-
by a storm.
And these are cherry rafters in there that have LEDs into them.
Awesome.
And then the decking in the loft is all cherry.
Yep.
That's about as much as we had storm fallen. These posts for the railing are actually locust, and the railing up there, that black metal, came off of old apple cider vinegar vats up in southern PA here.
Oh.
A friend of mine had a bunch lying in his yard, and we cut them and cleaned them, and so there's a little bit of local history in our home now.
And for those of you not familiar exactly with where we are, that's about 15 or 20 miles north of here is the PA border,
Yeah.
Pennsylvania border.
Gettysburg.
So I'm standing outside. This would be one of the main coats right on top of the main coats of plaster right on top of the straw bale itself. I'm going to go out and you'll see a let's see, he called it a lime coat before the final coat, so we'll see that in just 1 second. And this area right here is the lime coat, and from here they will put on a final coat. So they're still in the various stages of building the house here. Again, the house is being built while they're living in it and still working full-time jobs and everything else. So they have a beautiful place here. Let me see if I can back up here and give you a good shot from the outside. I saw this in the summer, and up here on the top you can, and on the top up there they have, it's called a living roof, so they actually have plants up there. Helps keep it cool and adds insulation to the cool in the summer and warm in the winter. Helps add insulation to the overall structure. And as you can see from outside here, it is completely round. Just a beautiful, beautiful, gorgeous place. So Michael Judd, thank you very much for meeting with Great Escape Farms and giving us a tour of your wonderful homestead here. How can our subscribers get a hold of you, or can you give us some more information about how they can find more information about you?
Okay, we do quite a few events and workshops out here on our land. We have about 25 acres just north of downtown Frederick. Beautiful, wood-lotted, beautiful stream running through it, budding food forests, our natural building projects. So we are really developing what we do also as an educational resource, a real hands-on, a real sort of come and see what this looks like, how do you do some of these things. So one of the best ways to really connect is to come out and be part of one of our workshops, one of our tours, one of our talks. And those are listed on our website, which is ecologiadesign.com. Ecologia is a Portuguese word for ecology. So ecologiadesign.com has our workshops. It lists talks that I'm doing throughout the country and throughout the region. I really love to talk about pawpaws and a lot of other uncommon fruits, how to shape your landscape to take advantage of the resources of water and sun and just the natural elements, which is what permaculture focuses on. Working with, so really the best ways to do that, our website also has a lot of information of how to, how do you create swales, raised beds on contour that harvest water? How do you work with hugelculture? How do you start a food forest? So I put a lot of information that actually came from my book on the website, parts of it, chunks of it, that are also very informative. So that's probably the best way. Facebook, we have a Facebook page under the name of our book, Edible Landscaping with a Permaculture Twist. I also have one under my name, Michael Judd. Instagram, I'm on and off under Permaculture Ninja. All these different ways.
Okay.